Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to all our senior high school constellation of stars na mga future entrepreneurs. Live ta diri sa Facebook at DepEd tayo Tangub and Astral Academy. I am teacher Genevieve from Tangub City National High School.
And I am Teacher Sheila from Mayor Alfonso Tan High School. We are your teacher facilitators for today.
Okay, learners, prepare your self-learning materials for entrepreneurship subject as we are going to discuss topics for this week activity.
Okay, learners are all ready? So we hope that everything is in place now.
Alright, so today let's learn another topic in entrepreneurship course, and our competency is discuss the value or supply chain in relation to the business. So this is very important to learn because it helps you understand the concept of value or supply chain, that as an entrepreneur, there's a need for you to fulfill customers and product requests. And it will also help you to create competitive advantage of your business in your market.
So again, learners, after the lesson, you will be able to discuss value, supply chain in relation to the business.
That's right. So before we will start on learning on how to discuss the value and supply chain, we will give you first its concept.
Okay, so let's begin with the value chain. Okay, learners, when we talk about a value chain, this is a process in which a company adds value to its raw materials, of course, to produce products eventually sold to our consumers.
Yes, and this would be a step-by-step business model for transforming a product or service from idea to reality.
Okay, so when we talk about, again, value chain, it increases the efficiency of the business so that customers can receive the product with the most value added at the lowest possible cost. So meaning to say, according to Michael A. Porter, who introduced the concept of chain, in his concept students of a value chain, Porter splits a business activities into two categories. So we have in there primary and support.
So those are the two activities of value chain. Okay. The primary activities consist of 5 components.
Yes, and all are essentials for adding value and creating competitive advantage. So, sana siya, ma'am?
Right. Ang primary activities, nasa 5 siya ka components. So, which are, the first one is the inbound logistics. So, what is this inbound logistics? This inbound logistics deals with receiving, kumbaga, pag-receive sa raw materials sa imuha, and then the storing. So, giyon sa pag-store o pag-warehouse sa raw materials gina-take care yun nimo para mas ang quality sa raw materials mas ma-preserve nimo, and it is being distributed to of inputs to the processing department or to the manufacturing departments. Okay, so another is manufacturing operation. This is the second step, di ba? Step by step man siya. So second step is the manufacturing operation. So this deals with the conversion of inputs. Kumbaga ang inputs referring to our raw materials, diba? Then into finished product. So from here, we will add it will add value po siya for the quality of the products na gina-produce, di ba? When it comes to the packaging, the product design, the features of a certain product. Okay, para mahimo siyang finished output or finished product. Okay, another is outbound logistics. So what is this all about? So it is concerned with the collection or the storage and distribution of products or service to the customers. So what is the flow of distribution? So it includes the activities to distribute the final product to the consumer. Unsa man siya pamaagi, ways and means of distributing the products to the consumer. So mo siya for the outbound logistics. Okay, another is marketing and sales. So for this, it involves activities that create awareness among the general public regarding the product. Say for example, advertising your product or promoting your product to the target market or to the consumers. And
Alright.
the pricing strategy. Unsa ang imong pamaagyan na it will add value. Okay? Kaya nga naman, when advertising the product, depende na yung mag-unsa yung pag-advertise through social media baka ha, kung sa may mas accessible sa mga consumers.
So,
Diba na?
yes, so many sa learners, di ari mo sulod ang atong strategies and techniques on how you are going to market your product. So, say for example, for now, for our generation today, our
Yes.
trending here is, kung nakabantay mo sa Facebook is kanang ukay-ukay, they are doing the TikTok while they are selling their products.
pamaagi,
Yes, and that's
strategy on how
what
to-
we call techniques, strategies, how to get or how to cope up your
The
attention of your
the
buyers. So mo na giingon learners na bisan pa siguro og unsa kalami ug unsa kanindot ang imuhang product, if you don't know how to advertise, how to promote your product,
Yes,
and then
that's
maglisod na gyud ka pamaligya ana. But it doesn't mean nga dili mahalin, but nakadepende pud siya. Not depende pero mas maayo kung kahibalo gid pud ta more market sa ato ang
Okay,
product.
nakabantay ka sometimes di ba na mo ato sa tong balay nga ma-promote sila product. So kung dili pa gani siya establish ang imong product kasagara mo hatag sila sample. Okay? Muhatag sa sample.
So
Part
that's
of the
also their
promotion
so that's
of
also the
your
strategies
product
or techniques.
para ma-will know ng imong product. That's
Yes.
it adds value. Okay. Another is services. Unsa ni nga pamaagi? All those activities that increase the value of product or the services like unsa man siya programs nga mo maintain ang products and enhance the consumer experience. Unsa experience ni motor kung mupalit ka din na nga sa bakery unsa ba ka ha? Unsa experience nimo how about sa mga sales lady nga nag-entertain sa imuha? So it matters, di ba? It adds value. That is why sa atong locality na aman certain mabantayan no nga nay bake shop din na may balik-balik, thank you so much balik-balik. Oh, so it adds value. Kumbaga, mo patronize ang imong buyers or imuhang consumer magbalik-balik sa imuha tungod sa imuhang service na kina-offer sa ilaha. Okay? How about the maintenance or repair? If ever ang imuhang product is kanang cellphone, di ba? If na siya guba or some defect nga, na siya pwede siya na siya warranty or we can repair that. So that's it. That's add service or value to your product or your buyers or customers.
Okay, because they are si tawag ani ang ilahang gina-offer man is services. So it is
services
expected.
or
Yes,
product.
but cellphone you have to give the services na ayuhon gid siya to repair.
Okay.
Okay, but again and again learners, if you are going to mo build og mga ginagmay nga business, of course it is much better if you are going to kana bitang ihatag ang tarong na
Yes.
serbisyo sa imuhang
Good
mga
service.
Customers. Kay customers always right according to them,
yes,
right?
good relation to the
Yes.
buyers.
So that is why if dili ta mamili og customer, that's it. If
Pinaka-importante.
yes, so much better if you are going to
Consider, di ba?
consider or give your service nga dili lang sa ingon nga panglantaw lang siya.
That's
Okay?
it. Okay.
So next we have here our support activities. So these activities learners help the primary activities and of course include procurement, technology development, human resource management, and infrastructure.
All right. So for this support activity, learners, the primary activities will not be possible without this support activities. Nga naman so may na-include ani, 'di ba, procurement. So sa primary activities gina deals dito nga kanang nag-start ang iyahang activity during receiving or storing your raw materials. Wala na emphasize dito kinsa mo procure, di ba? Kinsa man sila mo procure sa product or mo palit sa product. Pila kabuk ang imong supplier, di ba? It matters kung pila ang imong suppliers kay ngano man. Kay if ever dili available ang isa ka supplier, so napay lain nga mo supply sa imuha. Okay? To avoid delayed of the manufacturing of your product. Another is technology development. So this technology development will also support activity, part of value chain. Kay ngano man, kay dapat you do not have to believe behind to the technology that we have nowadays, di ba? So dili ta mapabilin sa karaan nga pamaagi nga mga equipments akong gamiton. Dapat inclined ta okay, mo adapta sa ato ang kanang bag-o nga technology.
Because in technology, mas daghan ta og magama manggod nga
The
kuan.
quality of the products
Yes.
matters also. Alright, so another is the human resource management. This referring to a staffing, di ba? Kung baga mag-assign kag skillful nga mga tao that will man to the operation of the production from the production of product, the output inputs rather to the delivery to the customers. Okay, another is the infrastructure, so that will add also kanang value kay ngano man kanang bali ang for example kung nakay restaurant tapos ang imuhang building is dili siya kumbaga dili kay siya nindot tan-awon, kumbaga pagkaon naman ay imong gibaligya, so that it dapat the sanitation, the building, the structure dapat accessible siya, I mean dapat nindot siya tan-awon sa mga buyers or mga consumers nga mo kuana na siya.
If restaurant ang imuhang negosyo, you have to consider the cleanliness. Yes.
Sanitation
Mao na siya kay.
building.
Remember na mga pagkaon man ang imuhang gipang serve
That's
ana. So
it.
dapat neat and clean, and aside from that,
Alright.
the sanitation is very
so,
important.
dapat kung if ever unsa man nga klase ang imuhang negosyo, dapat accessible pud siya dito sa imuhang mga buyers or consumers para dali siya. So what is the support activities? It is to help the primary activities more efficient. So muna giingon kanina nga dili siya ma-realize ang primary activities without the support activities. Kisa may muman ato nga mga operation. Okay? So when you increase the efficiency of any of the 4 support activities, it benefits at least one of the primary activities. These support activities are generally denoted as overhead cost on a company's income statement. Kumbaga sa business na siya, income statement full matters. Okay, so dito siya ma-post dito sa overhead cost sa statement of comprehensive income sa business or sa company.
That's
Okay.
right. Okay, so according to Porter, that value chain is important to maximize the value at each specific point in a firm's processes.
Alright. Sige, as an entrepreneur, to be able to maximize the value, it begins with determining the customer's request. Unsa mga requirements sa mga customers to have that product. Okay, how does a value chain work? Okay, through customer's request, the entrepreneur can create a prototype product. Okay, kumbaga product testing ni siya that fit to customer's request. That will kanang respond the need of your consumers.
Okay, so right there, and then the entrepreneur will work through value chain analysis. Of course, learners, to analyze internal firm activities. In this way, a business activity can perform and create a product that satisfies customers' request.
Yes.
So once the activities are analyzed, of course, a business can use the results to evaluate ways to improve its competitive advantage.
Okay, that is
Siya na
very
kanindot.
important to analyze the value chain. So what is this competitive advantage? So this is what sets your business apart from competitors. Kumbaga kung asa ka nakaposition sa market, surrounded by the competitors. Okay, to develop an advantage, you'll need to have a clear idea of your target market or katoy mga potential market. If you're an entrepreneur who's interested in clearly defining your business target, audience, and market, be sure to find the ideal niche market, baka position market, for the launching or selling your products.
Alright, so of course, you also need to know the benefit of your product produced to the target market, and so you can add value to your product.
That's it. So, what the relationship of the primary activities and the support activities? So, it will also represent all the internal activities a firm engages to produce goods and services. So, kung ang value chain is form of primary activities, diba? That add value to final product directly. So, makita yun mo ang iyahang value. Kung baga, unsay quality sa product, so makita nimo yung features, automatic, directly. Ang support activities that add value indirectly kay dili man nimo siya makita. So mo na siya ang relationship between the two, primary and the support activities.
Okay, so and we have also under the support activities, procurement plays a crucial role in a company as it how and when to use the raw materials in production at the lowest possible way. So scheduling of the orders and of course the
Yes.
distribution of finished products to the consumers are the major responsibilities that the entrepreneur will look into. So these are learners the activities in the supply chain, and that represents all the steps required of course to get the product to the customer. So remember, we have in there the scheduling of orders and the distribution. Mo gina siya
Of the finished
yes.
products. Okay. So for goods manufacturers, mga magbuhat, mga product, mag-create sa mga product, okay, value chain is consist of research and development. Kinahanglan na siya pangitaon og unsa gyud ang product design na gusto sa mga market, sa mga consumers. Okay, so you have to do through research and development. Okay, the raw materials purchased and production, the sales and the marketing, the delivery and service customer relations.
All right, and a value chain learners is a broader in scope than of course is supply
Broader man siya. Kay
chain.
unsa na si supply chain? It is a portion or a subset of a value chain that focuses on the physical movement, kumbaga physical movement ang product o padulong no of materials and goods and the related flows of information and financial transaction. Physical movements, it talks about the kuan kanang channel of distribution of the products from the raw materials to the consumer delivery.
Okay, so we have in there the examples of supply chain activities include farming, you have refining, designed, we have also manufacturing, packaging, and transportation. So, ano siya examples?
Yes, for the supply chain. So, why is it the company or the business will develop the supply chain management? Nung kinalan man siya. Okay, the business or the companies develop supply chains so they can reduce their cost, di ba? Para magamay ang ilahang gasto and remain competitive in the business landscape.
Alright, so this supply chain is described as a tool of business and transformation which minimizes cost and maximizes customer satisfaction by providing the right product at the right time, at the right place, and of course, at the right price. So conversely, learners, value chain is a way of getting a competitive advantage through which a company can beat its competitors along with fulfilling customers' requirements.
That's it. So that's for the concept of supply, value, and value chain. Okay, so learners, so we are now going to have a sample kung saan nyo pag-discuss si value o si supply chain. Okay, so it's I know that you have already your business, proposed business because kay na naman sa week 7. So you have your business, you have your product, identified na siya for your plan. Okay, so this is how you're going to discuss the value or supply chain and relation to business. So for example, na ako ko'y bakery business. So, na ko'y business bake shop. Okay. We have here a sample guide nga nasa inyong easel nga that will guide you on how to discuss.
Sample questions.
Sample
Yes.
question, sorry. Sample question rather. Okay, so the first one is how many suppliers do I need to have and why? Okay, so my discussion is I need to have more suppliers to ensure the raw materials available if needed in order not to compromise the efficiency of production and also the distribution of products to the customers. So, I can also select the best quality of raw materials with lowest cost. That's for the first guide question. The answer of the first guide question. Another is, how will I add value of the raw materials to convert into finished product? Okay, so this time, Kay naman ko'y bake shop, no? Ako amang bake shop ng ginamasihan. Dapat i-fit in na to sa itong negosyo. Okay, I will add value by storing the raw materials in a warehouse with required temperature for safekeeping and preserving of inputs or the raw materials. Okay, then I will adapt new technologies like machinery or equipment for the manufacturing of my bread, no, or kanang product to guarantee the efficiency and the quality of the finished product. And then I will launch advertisements of my products through different social media. Okay. Social media platform that crafted with the help of my skillful employee. Okay, so another is I have a customers-oriented sales force for my buyers' satisfaction. Okay, that is how you're going to discuss value or supply chain with the use of your proposed business. Okay, so this time, learners, in your activity, please take a look on your self-learning materials. So, nasa yung activity sheets. All you have to do is to discuss value or supply chain in relation to your proposed business. Okay, so we have here the rubrics for scoring. Okay, first one is the content. So you're going to have the content. Skillfully understand and picked up information in the discussion. Okay, another is organization. Skillfully organize complex ideas, concepts, and information in discussing value or supply chain in relation to business. So that's for the rubrics for scoring. All right, so senior high school constellation of stars, we hope that you acquire knowledge on the topics being shared to all of you.
Alright, so stay tuned, learners, because later on we are going to take up another subject, which is the 3 I's: inquiries, investigation, and immersion. After, of course, our short break. Again, this is Astral Academy Cyber School.
The Department of Education, Division of Tangub City, in partnership with the local government unit of Tangub, presents Ang Tangkub, Transforming Advancement in the New Normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media and instructional program, crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies, thematically layered in drama plays, which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub.
Sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok.
And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Civil School.
All right, dear learners, today we will be discussing and understanding ways to collect data. And of course, for our learning competency for today, at the end of the lesson, learners are expected to describe adequately sampling technique. Okay, now learners, why are representative sample important? Because as they ensure that all relevant types of people are included in your sample and that the right mix of people are interviewed. So meaning to say, if your sample isn't representative, it will be subject to kuan siya kanang bias or yes. So mo nang kinahanglan matarong nato siya kuha sa sample. Okay? So to start, let us define first population and sample. So what is the meaning of population and sample in a given study? So you have in there, population of course refers to the totality of individuals or subjects that is the main focus of a scientific query. Or, ma'am, when we say a population, it is actually a group of individuals who have the same characteristics. Yes, ma'am.
So, learners, when we say sample, contains a few members of the population. So, they were taken to represent the characteristics or traits of the whole population.
All right, so in population class can be small or large depending on what group would you like to study. So in practice, of course, researchers select target population or the sampling frame, or these are the group of individuals with the some common defining characteristics that of course the researchers can identify and study. All right.
Great.
So what's the example, ma'am?
For example, in the population of the all senior high school students in schools division, we can have the target population. So we will be the grade 12 senior high school students only in your school, diba? And within this target of population, class researchers then select only a portion of this to be studied. Okay, since we conduct a research or a study, with rarely possible to collect data from every person in your target population. So, it's a very tedious class.
All right. Okay, so that is why class we only select portion or
Yes.
part of the population that of course represents the population from which it was selected. So meaning to say, kani siya nga example is referred to as our sample. For instance, again, ma'am, so you might select a sample from your target population of grade 12 senior high school students in your school. So you may do it randomly or non-randomly using the probability and non-probability sampling techniques. Okay, so now class, there are two categories of sampling. Okay, so the first in there, you have the probability or random sampling. So unsa man na siya, ma'am? In every member of the population has the chance of being selected. Okay, so in here, of course, the researchers select individuals or samples from the population who are representative of the study. So meaning to say, this is the most regular form of sampling and is mostly applicable siya, learners, in quantitative research. Why? Because kay ang investigator can claim that the sample is representative of the population and as such can make generally version to the population. But you know what, learners, in reality it is not always possible to use probability sampling in educational research. Instead, ang atuang researcher or researchers can use a non-probability sampling.
So, kaning non-probability, non-random sampling, ang sampling group members are selected in non-random manner. So therefore, not each population has a chance to participate in the study. like involving participants who volunteer to be the studied only and non-random sampling learners is often used by the qualitative researchers or in the qualitative research. Okay, so they are not interested in generalizing the findings to a population, but only
describing,
a
yes,
small
group of participants in a study. Mga example, di ba? From a population to a sample. Mag-select lang ta. Okay, so now learners, we will start the four simplest and of course basic type of sampling techniques. First, we have in there the simple random sampling. So, unsa ni siya? And every member of the population has a known and equal chance. Okay? So, gi-emphasize na to has known and equal chance of being selected in the sample. So, bisan pa siguro og pinakakatapusan ka nga barangay or pinakaulahi ka or pinakaulahi nga letter ang imuhang name or unsa pa na siya, you have the chance. Yes. Equal chance of being selected in the sample. So, yes, para dili po ka bias here. Right. So, drawing randomly from a list of the populations, pwede siya names from a hat, okay? Or using a matrix of random numbers. Or pwede po siya fishbowl, ma'am, kanang mga pangalan nila ibutang. Yes. Yes, or lottery system. Kana siya bunot-bunot para fair ang tanan, para walang bias. Okay? Simple, yes. So, you have an example in there. So, say for instance, so kung mag-describe ta in anion nato, no, here. So, this is an example. You want to select a simple random sample of 100 employees of company X. So, of course, you're going to assign a number to every employee in the company database from 1 to 100. And you are going to use random number generator to select 100 numbers.
Familiar kay nato na, no?
Oh, good. Okay. So, next, ma'am, is
another is systematic sampling. So, what is a systematic sampling? Okay, when we say systematic, from the name itself, meron po tayong system or ordering scheme na pina-follow or technique na ito. So, it is similar to simple random sampling. So, but it is usually slightly easier to conduct. So, dali na kayo siya i-conduct. That every member of the population is listed with a number. Okay, but instead of randomly generating numbers, individuals are chosen at regular intervals.
Yes, pwede siya, no? Kanag 2, yan naman 4, or by 5, yes.
So, muna siya systematic random sampling. Okay, example learners, all employees of the company are listed in alphabetical order. So, from the first 10 numbers, you randomly select a starting point. So, asa ka mag-start?
So, nag-start siya 6.
Number 6.
Yes.
Number 6 kuno ka mag-start. From number 6 onwards, every 10th person on the list is selected. So that it's 6, 12, yes, 26,
and we have 36, and so on. Okay. Ang tod nga moabot na ka sa sample of 100 people. Okay, so mana siya. So next, learners, we have in there another type of probability. So unsa ni siya nga klase nga type of probability? As we have stratified random sampling.
Yes.
So, unsan siya stratified? Kung makadungog mo aning mga words, mga langga, diha gid nato na siya makita sa ato ang research. Naapod na siya sa kuan, ma'am, no? Sa atong giingon, ma'am, sa
statistics and
statistics,
probability.
yes.
So,
Naapod na siya sa ato ang research. So, nganong na ano siya sa research kay apil man siya sa ato ang
for the quantitative,
yes.
di ba? Quantitative.
For quantitative, yes, of course. So, you have in the stratified random sampling. So, this is a process in which 13 subgroups or strata are selected for the sample in the same proportion. So, as they exist in the population, of course, in stratified sampling, ang researchers divide or what we call stratify the population on some specific characteristics. So for example, pwede siya gender or grade level. It can be a stratum in a particular study. Okay? And then of course, using this simple random sampling, the ato ang kwan, sa tawag ani.
Researcher.
Yes, ang researcher is pwede siya select, yes, of course. Select samples from each subgroup or stratum sa population. So, inani ang mahitabo. If gender is the stratum of the study, hence, we need to get the female and male respondents in the study. Pero, ma'am, ano siya pangutana, ma'am? Kanusa man kita mag-stratify? Yes.
When?
When? Or kailan tayo mag-stratify?
Okay. The stratum desired will be represented in
the sample and the
same
proportion
exists in the population.
Okay, so example here. So the company has 800 female employees and 200 male employees. So imuha ni siya, no? So you want to ensure that the sample reflects the gender balance of the company. So you sort the population into 2 strata based on gender.
Okay.
Yes, and then you're going to use random sampling on each group. So selecting 80 women and 20 men, so which give you representative sample of 100 people. Okay, so speaking of sample size class, the most commonly used way to get the sample size is the Sloven's formula. Okay, uban sa inyo is familiar na ani, but we have another session on how to compute this Sloven's formula, ma'am. Kay murag mo abot na yun next time. But for now is mag-focus ata sa description or describing about or the methods of sampling techniques. Okay, so now next up is we are going to discuss the different non-probability sampling techniques. So remember, learners, the non-probability or non-random sampling learners often use by qualitative research. So since they are not interested in generalizing findings to a population, but only in describing a small group of participants in a study, so in here, of course, the researcher selects participants because they are willing and available to be studied or based on the purpose of the research. So in this case, kanisha ma'am, in this case, the researcher cannot say with confidence that the individual is representative of the population. So ma'am, magsugod ta sa first nato nga,
So
yes.
the first non-probability sampling techniques is the convenience sampling. So
Unsa na
what is
siya, ma'am?
convenience sampling? It's selecting a group of individuals who are conveniently available for study. So or easy to recruit by a researcher. For example, you may ask any willing learner to answer the online survey or this using the convenience sampling. So this is also known as accidental opportunity or grab
Sampling. So nata example, ma'am, para gyud makita nila ang description ana
You
niya.
are researching opinions about student support services in your university or college baka ha. So after each of your classes, you ask your fellow students to complete a survey on the topic. So this is a convenient way to gather data. But as you only surveyed students taking same classes as you at the same level, the sample is not representative of all the students at your university.
Mao na siya. So convenient siya, no? Kaya nga naman after class man
Dili
niya.
kayo siya
Yes.
makapangayo sa data.
Dili kayo ingon nga gilisod-lisod at convenient. Mao na siyang convenient time.
Most
Okay.
convenient time.
So naata di ani class, an alternative convenience sampling is snowball sampling. So kabanta mo ng snowball kung atong tapukon ng snow, no? From pinakagamay hangtod kung ato na siyang tapukon magkadako. So one sample leads to more of the same kind of sample. So that is why learners, this is also referred to as change referral sampling. So condition snowball sampling, the researcher asks participants to identify others to become members of the sample. So mauni siya class ang example. You are researching the experience of homeless people in your city. So since kay wala man kay listahan sa mga homeless city, so ang probability ana kanang imuhang sampling is not possible. Kaya nga naman, wala man kay listahan, di ba? Karon.
Mga homeless person.
Yes, kung wala man kay listahan. So, ang imuhang sampling is imposible kaayo.
Okay.
Karon kay since you meet one homeless person along the way as you collect and administer your instruments, and you meet one person who agrees to
Yes.
participate in the research, and you put her in contact with other homeless. So meaning to say, homeless people that she knows in the area that she is residing. So, iya tong gigamit na para makakonect na rin sa mga homeless people di sa ilahang area.
Wala siya
So,
example.
in here, yes, from wala siya listahan, hangtod nga na-meet niya ang isa, hangtod nga nakuan o snowball. Mo na siya yung techniques yung pagkuha siyang sampling. And in here, of course, the researchers sample builds and become larger as the study continues, just like the snowball. So mo nang description sa tuang snowball sampling. Okay,
Another
next.
is a purposive sampling. So what is this purposive sampling? In here, the researchers believe using their judgment to select a sample that they believe. Diba? So based on the prior information, will provide the data they needed. Okay, the researcher chooses the sample based on who they think would be the appropriate
For the study. Okay. So naputay examples di ani ma'am no? Two
For the
examples
example,
actually.
in a study involving diabetes. Ang sabi ni diabetes, sakit ni siya.
Yes.
The researcher will only choose diabetic persons. Okay. So, this is an example of purposive sampling.
From the word purpose.
Nasa
Ang iyahang
purpose.
kwan is with the
Ang
purpose. Kay
iyahang
dili man
study.
ka pwede mo interview sa tao nga wala pud nakaranas og
Okay,
diabetics
that's
or
it.
diabetes,
Nasa purpose.
right? So meaning to say here, samples are chosen based on the goals of the study. So they may be chosen based on their knowledge and expertise of expertise of the study being
Okay.
conducted, or if they satisfy the traits or conditions set by the researcher. So halimbawa learners, kapag gumagawa tayo ng study in the field of psychology, of course, mas pipiliin natin ang mga respondents na may knowledge in that particular field,
Yes.
right? So dili ta pwede mo interview lang ato og wala sila knowledge or wala sila expertise or wala sila experience, okay? And of course, if we are going to talk about education,
Okay, so this
of
is
course,
education,
yes,
ma'am.
education. Kakausapin natin po yung mga, it could be the principal
Okay.
or the school's division superintendent or teachers na may
Teachers,
experience
mga
in
staff na
yes,
nag-work sa
yes, of
school.
course, or teachers or any na may experience
Yes.
in teaching or in the field of teaching. Okay, so again, so that's an example of, sana siya ma'am, that's an example of atong ginatawag first is snowball is purposive example. Yes. So again, dapat is yung taong may experience in the field of education. So lastly, learners, we have in there quota sampling, from the word quota. Okay? So the number of samples are decided by the researcher and what we call this one? Decided by the
Selection.
researcher and selection also made out of availability of the respondents. So meaning to say, ang iyang researcher ensures equal or proportionate representation of the subjects. Depende siya sa which rate is iyang i-consider sa base of the quota.
Yes, and for example, in a population, you want to select 60% men and 40% women. So in this case, you will select samples randomly until you reach 60%
men and
40%
women. Okay. So maoto siya learners ang ato ang mga techniques sa sampling
on how
na
to
method. Yes.
describe, di ba?
Yes, and how to describe. So,
Yes,
gipanghatag na namo tanan ang mga
Yes.
description
At
ato
techniques,
niya.
so mga ways
Yes.
on how to pagkuha og data.
Very good. Okay. So now learners, for our activity this afternoon, of course, kay naa naman ta sa week 7, ma'am,
Yes,
as what
week
you had said a while ago. Of course, naa na mo giandam gyud, nakapili na mo sa inyong topic. Yes. Naa na ta di ani sa part nga collecting datas, di ba?
Okay.
So karon ang inyong activity is you have to describe one method lang na inyuhang gigamit sa inyuhang research
Research study.
paper. Yes, sa inyuhang research study. So, naa sa inyuhang modules or sa inyuhang SLM, naa diha nakabutang ang mga rubrics. Okay? So, just
Yes.
follow the rubrics given in your printed SLM. Okay? So, thank you so much.
Alright, so please take a look in your second attendance marker
Marker.
for the day for the senior high school. Okay, so pasalamat sa executive producer, Sir Gas CP, the production team, learners. This has been Genevieve Pikit-Pikit.
And this is also Teacher Sheila. And this is your Astral Academy Cyber School.
TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Together, supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine,
The Department of Education, Division of Dangub City, in partnership with the local government unit of Damgub, presents Ang Tangkub, transforming advancement in the new normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media, crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies thematically layered in drama plays, which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is Ang Tangkub.
It's Tangkub, Tangkub, Tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tugtog na.
How are you, dear learners? We hope that everything is fine. Today, let us have a game. All you have to do is to guess the words written in the balls of letters by rearranging them to create a meaningful word. Use the given description as your clue. Are you excited? Hope you are. Let's get started. It is a conclusion or opinion that is formed because of known facts or evidence. That's right. The answer is inference.
Item number 2. Words of a piece of writing or speech. You're right. The answer is text.
Number 3. Something which shows that something else is true. The correct answer is evidence.
Item number 4. To repeat something written or said by another person exactly. The correct answer is quotes.
The 5th item is an information and educational context a learner already has before they learn new information. The correct answer is prior knowledge.
For the last item, to quote by way of example, authority, or proof. Correct. The answer is cite. Congratulations, learners! For sure, you got a perfect score. So, the answers are inference, text, evidence, prior knowledge, and cite. You will know more the meaning of these words that you have come across as we go on with our lesson.
That's right. You are now ready to learn another meaningful lesson, and that is how to cite an evidence to support a general statement. Let's keep going.
When we make claims, we provide our statement with facts and research in order to communicate a strong argument. When we have ideas about what we read, we need to cite text in order to support our claims. So, what is text evidence?
Text evidence uses specific examples and ideas from a text to help support and further define your own claims and ideas. Text evidence gives your words validity and strength. On the other hand, general statement is a claim that needs to be proven. Presents the topic of a paragraph, essay, or book. And a general statement usually expresses the main point or main idea of a piece of writing. Let us have an example. The rainforest is home to many creatures. Monkeys, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and mammals live in the rainforests. Butterflies and anteaters also live in the forests. Now, can you tell me what is the general statement of the passage? That's right. The rainforest is a home to many creatures. The general statement expresses the main idea of the paragraph. And this claim needs to be proven. So, what is the textual evidence that support the claim of the general statement? That's right. Monkey, birds, amphibians, reptiles, and mammals live in the forest. This sentence is the text evidence that supports the claim of the general statement. It uses specific examples like monkeys, birds, and amphibians to make the claim of the general statement valid. Now that you already have an idea about the difference between a general statement and text evidence, let us learn more. There are actually important things to consider when citing textual evidences. Let us see what are these. Points to remember in citing text evidence. First, read and understand the text thoroughly. It is important to read the text thoroughly so that you may be able to identify not only the main idea of the text, but also the specific details to support the main idea. Number 2, identify the general statement of the main idea from the text you read. When you are able to identify the general statement of the main idea of the text, it would be easier for you to cite or search for the text evidence to support your claims. Third, go back to the text to find supporting statements to give your claims validity. Once the general statement is identified, that's the time to look for some specific details from the text that will support the general statement or idea. Number 4, add the quotes to your response. Finally, add the quotes of the author or use your own words to relay the idea of the author to support or explain your claim. Fifth, remember, not all ideas are obviously stated in the text. Sometimes we have to make an inference or conclusion. To do this, we use evidence from the text and our prior knowledge to understand the text better. This is so-called reading between the lines. Example, you are talking in the class while the class discussion is ongoing and suddenly your teacher makes a frowning face. Based from the text and your prior knowledge, it can be inferred that your teacher is angry with you is the general statement. And what evidence do we have in this claim? The evidence is you are talking in the class while the discussion is ongoing. Your teacher is trying to make a point in her discussion and suddenly she makes a frowning face. This is the text evidence through making inferences.
Here are a few examples of citing text evidence. Example number 1. Religious gatherings represent Filipinos' faithfulness to God. We may have different religions, but we commonly believe in one supreme being. Masses, processions, feast of saints, weddings, baptisms are Filipinos' best practices to celebrate life with God. From the text, the general statement is, religious gatherings represent Filipinos' faithfulness to God. Now, let us answer this question in order to identify the text evidence. What religious gathering activities represent Filipinos' faithfulness to God? Correct! It is masses, processions, feast of saints, weddings, baptisms are Filipinos' best practices to celebrate life with God. This line represents the text evidence. Let us have another example. Example number 2. I always dreamed to become a philanthropist, someone who dedicates oneself into helping others, someone who is capable of providing anything essential to others abundantly. In other words, I dreamed to become a wealthy person to be able to help and provide something for others, especially the poor ones. I am only 13 years old, but I have this desire to help many people. My young age frustrates me that I don't have the capacity to provide what others need. I don't come from a well-off family, by the way. It seems that I am hopeless to become what I want to be. In this case, the general statement is, I always dreamed to become a philanthropist. Why does the author dream of becoming a philanthropist? Here is the text evidence. I dreamed to become a wealthy person to be able to help and provide something for others, especially the poor ones.
Now that you already learned how to cite an evidence to support a general statement, get ready and answering your activity sheets. Directions. Read and understand each passage and answer the questions which focus on citing evidence to support a general statement. Choose the letter of the best answer. Before we end, always remember that you will sound more convincing if you will support your claims with evidences.
This demonstrates that you have fully researched your topic against any counterclaims. Evidences that support your claim would make any topic strong and believable.
Have a great time, learners. Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Mama Halia
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teachers, saying continue to love, care, and share. Still here in your one and only educational TV program,
Ang Tangku. Bye!
Bye!
Hello grade 7 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. I am Teacher James, your teacher in TLE Carpentry Exploratory course. For today's lesson, we will discuss the basic concept of measurement used in the world of carpentry. The two systems of measurements are the English and the metric system. The English system originated in England, which is also known as the U.S. customary unit of measurement, while the metric system was developed in France and is also known as the International Standard or SI. Part 1. Unit of measures, linear measurement. English, yard, foot, inch. Metric, meter, decimeter, centimeter, millimeter. Reading of measurements. Reading the inch. The inch is divided into segments called graduations. Each graduation represents a measurement in form of a proper fraction. The inch can be divided into 16, 8, 4, and 2 equal parts. Note, the illustration is not the actual length of an inch. Reading the centimeter and millimeter. 1 centimeter is equivalent to 10 millimeter. Converting units of measure. Here is a guide table in unit conversion. From English to English, 1 foot is equivalent to 12 inches. From metric to metric, 1 meter is equivalent to 10 decimeters. 1 decimeter is equivalent to 10 centimeters. English to metric. 1 inch is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters. 1 inch is equivalent to 25.4 millimeters. 1 foot is equal to 30.48 centimeters. Metric to English. 1 meter is equivalent to 3.28 feet. 1 meter is equivalent to 39.37 inches. Sample solutions in conversion. A. Foot to inches. 3 feet is equivalent to how many inches? The solution is, since 1 foot is equivalent to 12 inches, multiply 3 feet by 12 inches. The answer is 3 feet is equivalent to 36 inches. B. Inch to feet. 48 inches is equivalent to how many feet? Solution. Divide 48 inches by 12 inches. The answer is 48 inches is equivalent to 4 feet. C. Centimeter to millimeters. 22 centimeters is equivalent to how many millimeters? Solution. Multiply 22 centimeters by 10 millimeters. The answer is 22 centimeters is equivalent to 220 millimeters. D. Inch to centimeter. 6 inches is equivalent to how many centimeters? Solution. Multiply 6 inches by 2.54 centimeter, and the answer is 6 inches is equivalent to 15.24 centimeters. There you have it, learners. Those are the basic concept of measurement used in carpentry. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Carpentry Exploratory course and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember, 1 accurate measurement is worth 1,000 of expert opinions. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and hashtag Shine Tanggub Stars.
Hi grade 8 learners, are you now ready for another blast of meaningful lesson to learn? Alright, let us begin by identifying the word we are looking for. Surely, you're familiar with 4 pics, 1 word. Do study the set of pictures. You're given 10 seconds to give the right answer.
Now, do you already have an answer? Remember to use the clues like the letters revealed, such as C, H, and N. Alright, the correct answer is cohesion.
Today, we will be learning how to use appropriate cohesive devices in various types of speech. To get started, let us be guided by these terms and their definitions. Cohesive devices are words and phrases that connect ideas. Some people call them transition signals or discourse markers. Cohesion is how well parts of your texts, such as words, sentences, paragraphs, fit together. It is the way your text is linked together. There are actually 3 main types of cohesive devices. The first one, pronouns or reflexive pronouns. A simple cohesive device which refer to a previously mentioned noun. Example, he, she, it, they. Reflexive pronouns refer to a pronoun that was previously mentioned in a text. Example sentence, he introduced himself. Number 2, conjunctions. The most basic way to connect parts of text together. Examples, and, but, or, yet, and so. Example sentence, Netflix has many movies and shows, and its subscription is affordable. The third type of cohesive devices are adverbial conjunctions. A conjunctive adverb connects 2 independent clauses or sentences. Typically, adverbs modify other words, verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. Examples, accordingly, additionally, again, all in all, also, and anyway. Example sentence, the weather forecast predicts rain. Accordingly, I will bring my umbrella.
Now, let us have some exercise of identifying cohesive devices. Let us read the directions. Directions. From the excerpt of a farewell speech, pick out the cohesive devices that you can find and write them on a piece of paper. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I remember thinking that it would be hard to say goodbye, and I was right. It is hard. Yet, I consider myself fortunate to have met such a special person, a person that we care so much about, that it makes saying goodbye to him or her hard. As we say goodbye, we remind ourselves that farewells are not forever, nor are they the end. They are simply words to say that we will miss you dearly and that we will remember you fondly. Although we may be separated by time and distance in the interim, nothing will diminish the important role that you have and always will play in our lives. And so it is, and always will be with you as we carry you always close to our hearts. May we road rise up to meet you. May the wind be ever at your back. And until we meet again, may God hold on you in the hollow of His hand. So, have you found all the cohesive devices in the excerpt? The cohesive devices are it, myself, him or her, they, that, and, yet, as, nor, although, so, always, and until. For you to have a thorough knowledge about this lesson, let us discuss one type of cohesive device and its use. Let us discuss one type of cohesive device and how it is used in the sentence. Let us start with the first type. That is, the cohesive device, which are pronouns or reflexive pronouns. Let us lift this sentence from the farewell speech. Yet, I consider myself fortunate to have met such a special person, a person that we care so much about, that it makes saying goodbye to him or her hard. Alright, in the given sentence, the cohesive device, specifically a reflexive pronoun myself, actually refer back to the first pronoun, which is I. Hence, it is able to connect ideas more smoothly. The next underlined cohesive device, which is the pronoun him or her, actually refers back to the noun person in the sentence.
This time, let us proceed with the second type of cohesive device, and that is the conjunction. Let us analyze a sentence from the excerpt. As we say goodbye, we remind ourselves that farewells are not forever, nor are they the end. Now, the conjunction in the sentence, specifically a coordinating conjunction, is nor. If you could still recall, nor is the third coordinating conjunction in the famous acronym Fun Boys. In this sentence, it is used to connect a second negative idea from the negative idea in the first clause. The first idea is, we remind ourselves that farewells are not forever. And the second idea is, nor are they the end. Let us proceed with analyzing the last type of cohesive device, and that is adverbial conjunction. Let us read this sentence still coming from the excerpt. Although we may be separated by time and distance in the interim, nothing will diminish the important role that you have and always will play in our lives. In here, let us recall the meaning of adverbial conjunction or conjunctive adverbs. A conjunctive adverb connects two independent clauses or sentences. In the given sentence, the two clauses joined by the conjunctive adverb, the first clause is, we may be separated by time and distance in the interim, and the second clause is, nothing will diminish the important role you have and will always play in our lives. Now, although a conjunctive adverb, which is also called an adverbial conjunction, brings together two complete thoughts like a conjunction, its function is not limited to that, because it also uses the second clause to modify the first clause just like an adverb.
Now that you have already learned that cohesive devices could be pronouns, reflexive pronouns, conjunctions, adverbial conjunctions, or conjunctive adverbs, You can use any of this when writing any type of speech.
This time, get your activity sheet in English and do what is expected of you. Activity number 1, directions. Read this excerpt from the speech of Acting Secretary of Foreign Affairs Enrique A. Manalo, then complete the table showing the different types of cohesive devices used in the speech. Activity number 2, directions. Read the statement below, then do the given task. Write your answer on a separate sheet of paper.
Writing cohesively is an important skill to master. Cohesion is how you link the sentences and ideas correctly for clarity and conciseness. In turn, a cohesive text will be easier to read and understand. Don't forget that the function of communication, whatever form it may take, oral or written, verbal or non-verbal, is a shared understanding.
Exactly. May you always make your readers or listeners understand your message. And the use of cohesive devices is a plus factor. Thank you for your time, grade 8 learners, and congratulations for finishing this lesson. Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Mama Halia,
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teacher, saying continue to love, care, and share, still here in your one and only educational TV program,
Ang Tangkub.
Goodbye!
Hello grade 8 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. I am Teacher James, your teacher in TLE Computer Hardware Servicing Exploratory course. For today's lesson, we will explore the world of computer memory. Computer memory. Although memory is technically any form of electronic storage, it is used most often to identify fast, temporary forms of storage. If your computer's central processing unit or CPU had to constantly access the hard drive to retrieve every piece of data it needs, it would operate very slowly. When the information is kept on the memory, the CPU can access it much more quickly. Most forms of memory are intended to store data temporarily. The CPU accesses memory according to a distinct hierarchy, whether it comes from permanent storage or the hard drive, or input such as the keyboard. Most data goes to the random access memory first, or the RAM. The CPU then stores pieces of data it will need to access, often in a cache, and maintains certain special instructions in the register. Read-only memory or ROM chips are located in the motherboard. ROM chips contain instructions that can be directly accessed by the CPU. Basic instructions for booting the computer and loading the operating system are stored in ROM. ROM chips retain their contents even when the computer is powered down. The contents cannot be erased or changed by normal means. Random access memory or RAM is the temporary storage for data and programs that are being accessed by the CPU. RAM is a volatile memory, which means that the contents are erased when the computer is powered off. The more RAM in a computer, the more capacity the computer has to hold and process large programs and files, as well as enhance system performance. Storage drives. Storage drives read or write information on magnetic or optical storage media. The drive can be used to store data permanently or to retrieve information from a media disk. Storage drives can be installed inside the computer case, such as a hard drive. For portability, some storage drives can connect to the computer using a USB port, a FireWire port, or an SCSI port. These portable storage drives are sometimes referred to as removable drives and can be used on multiple computers. Hard drive. A hard drive or hard disk drive is a magnetic storage device that is installed inside the computer. The hard drive is used as permanent storage for data. In a Windows computer, the hard drive is usually configured as the C drive and contains the operating system and applications. The hard drive is often configured as the first drive in the boot sequence. The storage capacity of a hard drive is measured in billions of bytes or gigabytes or GB. The speed of a hard drive is measured in revolutions per minute or RPM. Multiple hard drives can be added to increase storage capacity. Optical drive. An optical drive is a storage device that uses lasers to read data on the optical media. There are three types of optical drives: the compact disc or CD, digital versatile disc or DVD, and Blu-ray disc or BD. External flash drive. An external flash drive, also known as a thumb drive, is a removable storage device that connects to a USB port. An external flash drive uses the same type of non-volatile memory chips as solid-state drives and does not require power to maintain the data. These drives can be accessed by the operating system in the same way that other types of drives are accessed. There you have it, learners. Those are the things you need to bear in mind when it comes to computer memory. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Computer Hardware Servicing Exploratory Course and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember, memories are timeless treasures of the heart. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and hashtag Shine Tanggub Stars.
Hello, Mamahal.
Hello, Pinky.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Assuming that you are at the shopping mall with your best friend and you go to your favorite store. Then, your best friend picks up a really cool shirt and quickly stuffs it in her bag. And she says that she is always doing that, but she had never gotten caught. What will you do?
Well, I will stop her and tell her that shoplifting is actually a crime. I will tell her that she may not get caught or have been caught yet, but if she will be caught, then complications will happen. She might get imprisoned, and that will cause a bad reputation, not just for her, but for her family as well. And as a friend, I will not let that happen.
Wow, what a nice answer. Another question. What if you had known a classmate of yours in your class who cheated on the third periodical exam? He got an almost perfect score, while you get a failing score. What will you do?
Well, as a friend, I will ask him why he did it. And I will listen to him and give him a piece of advice that cheating, for it has a negative impact on him, and it is not justifiable that he may pass but have not learned at all in the lesson. On the other hand, if he will be caught, that means he will be embarrassed or be humiliated.
Amazing! You are now ready to join a beauty contest and face the Q&A portion.
I think I already know the lesson, and it is about sharing one's personal opinion.
You get it right, Mamahal. Today, we will learn how to share personal opinion about the ideas listened to.
This topic will allow you to broaden your knowledge about any information you have listened to and be able to share your perspective and thoughts about it through different forms of communication.
In addition, this will develop our critical thinking skills.
This time, let us get ourselves acquainted with the guiding principles for effective listening. First, stop talking. Remember, you cannot listen as you are speaking. Number 2, pay attention. Give your full attention to the speaker. You cannot communicate if both parties are not actively involved in the process. Number 3, read nonverbal cues. Along with hearing and processing the words of the speaker, you should pay careful attention to the nonverbal language being communicated. Watch your eye contact, facial expressions, gestures, posture, changes, and any physical response, for example, fidgeting. Number 4, ask questions. A good way to ensure that you have accurately understood the message is to ask questions. Number 5, resist distractions. Stop doodling. Do not shuffle papers, draw, or doodle when you are listening. Number 6, don't interrupt. Even though you may get angry or upset by something the speaker says, do not interrupt. Let the speaker finish and resist the temptation to focus on your emotional response to the speaker's words. 7, open your mind. Try to look at the situation from the speaker's point of view and not just your own. Be flexible. And number 8, or lastly, paraphrase. Use your own words to mirror what you have heard. Restating information in your own words helps you to remember what you have heard. Now that you know the guiding principles for effective listening, please listen to the song Perfect by Simple Plan and share your point of view by answering the process questions that follow. Process questions. Number 1, what is the message of the song? Number 2, what do you do when your parents don't support your plan? Number 3, how do you stop thinking you're not good enough? Lastly, take a stand on a statement, we will never know the love of our parents till we become parents ourselves. Enjoy listening and take your time, learners.
Think back and talk to me. Did I grow up according to plan? And do you think I'm wasting my time doing things I wanna do? But it hurts when you disapprove all along. And now I try hard to make it. I just wanna make you proud. Gonna be good enough for you. Can't pretend that I'm alright. And you can't change me, 'cause we lost it all. Nothing lasts forever. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Now it's just too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. I try not to think about the pain I feel inside. Did you know you used to be my hero? All the days you spent with me now seem so far away, and it feels like you don't care anymore. And now I try hard to make it. I just wanna make you proud. I'm never gonna be good enough for you. I can't stand nothing lasts forever. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Now it's just too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Nothing's gonna change the things that you said, and nothing's gonna make this right again. Please don't turn your back. I can't believe it's hard just to talk to you, but you don't understand. Cause we lost it all, nothing lasts forever. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Now it's just too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Cause we lost it all, nothing lasts forever. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Now it's just too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect.
Now, let us answer the questions one by one. Perhaps some of these responses are similar to the ones you scribbled down on your notes. For the first question is, what is the message of the song? Perfect is a song by a Canadian rock band, Simple Plan. This song is about a child telling his or her parents that he or she is not born perfect and can never be perfect in life. On the other hand, it also tells that his or her parents did not support any of his or her plans. But despite their refusal to support him or her, he or she uses the song to tell them that he or she may not be perfect and can never be, and that he or she is sorry for being unable to become perfect for them. The second question is, what do you do when your parents don't support your plan? First is you need to try to understand why. Parents, being older, have probably seen the problems that may come along with if you choose a negative path. Even though our parents may seem annoying, they actually come from a good place, with good reason to object and make us re-examine our choices. For the third question, what is your stand on the statement, we will never know the love of our parents till we become parents ourselves? The answer is, parents know best for their children and they may be misinterpreted until their children will become parents themselves. It's only when we become parents that we understand their discipline and protection.
Let us have more exercises. Listen carefully to the questions that require your response in a complete sentence. You may assess the responses you made based on the given rubric. Here are the questions. Question number 1. How will you react if your friend asks you to cover for a mistake you made? Question number 2. In what way were you taught good values by your parents? Question number 3. What would you do if you and your mother will have a disagreement? And the last question is, what would you do if you realize you won't be able to complete the performance test given by your teacher on time? Great job, learners! Surely, you have your respective responses. Yet, let us take a look at these following possible answers. Going back to question number 1, how will you react if your friend asks you to cover for a mistake he made? Here is the possible answer. It's nice to have a friend, but if he or she will commit a mistake and want me to cover for him or her, I won't do it, for I don't want to make another mistake. Question number 2. In what way were you taught good values by your parents? Possible answer: one of the good values that my parents taught me is to accept people's idea or be open-minded and respect another. Question number 3. What would you do if you and your mother will have a disagreement? The possible answer is, I will try to be polite in speaking my thoughts, but I will respect whatever it is that she has to say. Question number 4. What would you do if you realize you won't be able to complete the performance test given by your teacher on time? Possible answer is, if I would be unable to complete the performance test given by my teacher on time, I will tell her frankly and I ask for an extension of the said performance test, which I will surely finish. As they say, turning in a task late is better than turning nothing at all. So, how would you assess yourselves based from the given rubric? Are you excellent, competent, or needs work? Well, if you think you are excellent or competent, great job, learners. But if you think you need improvement, do not worry, learners. You surely have a lot to learn still. And as long as you won't stop, you will be able to improve so much.
Now that you have learned the skill of sharing personal opinion to the ideas listened to, it's time to answer your activity. Get your activity sheet to help us assess how much you have learned from this lesson.
We are at times defined based on the opinions we share. The power of expressing our thoughts brings new ideas and innovation to improve our lives. Yet, let us be truthful in expressing ourselves so that others would understand what we believed in and what we are. Taking a stand on a particular issue allows us to understand ourselves and improve our self-confidence.
Have a great time, learners. Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Ma'am Mahali
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teacher, saying continue to love, care, and share. Still here in your one and only educational TV program,
Ang Tangkub.
Goodbye!
Bye!
Hello grade 9 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. I am Teacher James, your teacher in TLE Bread and Pastry Production 9. For today's lesson, we will discuss the basic steps in baking. Basic steps in baking. Read the recipe carefully to know if you have all the ingredients and the utensils needed and if you understand the entire procedure. Check all the necessary ingredients, gather and arrange them according to the sequence of their preparation. Prepare all the utensils needed for measuring, mixing, and baking. Preheat the oven. Set the oven knob at the desired temperature. Prepare the pan or pans needed. Make sure to use the correct pan size. If it needs greasing, brush the pan bottom with a little shortening. For baking purposes, don't use butter or margarine for greasing because these easily burn and will produce a very brown crust. Measure the ingredients using correct utensils according to the amounts required in the recipe. Mix the batter or dough when filling pans. Make sure you don't overfill. Fill about 2/3 full to give an allowance for the rising. Bake in the preheated oven. Put the pan at the center rack. Test for doneness. For butter cakes, prick the center of the cake with a toothpick. If it comes out clean, then it is done. For chiffon and sponge cakes, press lightly with fingers. If it springs back, Then it is done. Pies and pastries are done when the crust have turned golden brown, crisp, and flaky. Cool the baked products. For butter cakes, put the pan on a wire rack and leave to cool for 10 minutes. Afterwards, invert pan to remove the cake and cool it completely. For sponge and chiffon cakes, invert pan at once in wire racks. Then, decorate. There you have it, learners. Those are the basic steps in baking. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Bread and Pastry Production 9 and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember that according to the former President of the United States of America, Barack Obama, there is no excuse for not trying. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and hashtag Shine Tanggub Stars.
Mamping, do you believe that a grain of corn can actually grow as big as this hen's egg?
Huh? What kind of technology was used in that kind of corn? Is it part of that what they called a genetically modified organism?
We will know the answer to that question in a little while. What's up, grade 10 learners? It's another wonderful episode to learn another meaningful lesson in English. Still here in your one and only educational TV program, Ang Tangkub, where you learn new things the fun and easy way possible.
Last meeting, we learned how to critique a literary selection using the Marxist approach. This time, we will learn another approach in critiquing a literary piece, which is the formalist approach.
Let us first define formalist criticism. What is formalist criticism? Formalist criticism is defined as a literary criticism approach which provides readers with a way to understand and enjoy a work for its own inherent value as a piece of literary art. Formalist critics spend a great deal of time analyzing irony, paradox, imagery, and metaphor. They're also interested in a work's setting, characters, symbols, and point of view.
Broadly, it is concerned exclusively with the text, in isolation from the world, author, or reader.
These are some of the questions that a formalist critic would ask. First question, how is the work structure unified?
Next, how do various elements of the work reinforce its meaning?
What recurring patterns, repeated or related words, images, etc. can you find? What is the effect of these patterns or motifs?
Fourth question, how does repetition reinforce the theme or themes?
Fifth question, how does the writer's diction reveal or reflect the work's meaning?
Next, what is the effect of the plot and what parts specifically produce that effect?
Furthermore, it also asks the question, what figures of speech are used? Metaphors, simile, etc.
The eighth one, note the writer's use of paradox, irony, symbol, plot, characterization, and style of narration. What effects are produced? Do any of these relate to one another or to the theme?
Next, is there a relationship between the beginning and the end of the story?
What tone and mood are created at various parts of the work?
And you can also ask, how does the author create tone and mood? What relationship is there between tone and mood and the effect of the story?
Lastly, how do the various elements interact to create a unified whole? Now, let us analyze the story entitled A Grain as Big as a Hen's Egg, written by a great and award-winning author, Leo Tolstoy.
But before we do that, let us read first the story. A Grain as Big as a Hen's Egg by Leo Tolstoy. One day, some children found in a ravine a thing shaped like a grain of corn with a groove down the middle, but as large as a hen's egg. A traveler passing by saw the thing, bought it from the children for a penny, and taking it to town, sold it to the king as a curiosity. The king called together his wise men and told them to find out what the thing was. The wise men pondered and could not make head or tail of it. Till one day, when the thing was lying on a windowsill, a hen flew in and pecked at it till she made a hole in it. And then everyone saw that it was a grain of corn. The wise men went to the king and said, "It is a grain of corn." At this, the king was much surprised, and he ordered the learned men to find out when and where such corn had grown. The learned men pondered again and searched in their books, but could find nothing about it. So they returned to the king and said, "We can give you no answer. There is nothing about it in our books. You will have to ask the peasants. Perhaps some of them may have heard from their fathers when and where grain grew such a size." So the king gave orders that some very old peasants should be brought before him, and his servants found such a man and brought him to the king. Old and bent, ashy pale and toothless, he managed, with the help of 2 crutches, to totter into the king's presence. The king showed him the grain, but the old man could hardly see it. He took it, however, and felt it with his hands. The king questioned him, saying, "Can you tell us, old man, where such a grain as this grew? Have you ever bought such corn or sown such in your fields?" The old man was so deaf that he could hardly hear what the king said, and only understood with great difficulty. "No," he answered at last. "I never sowed nor reaped any like it in my fields, nor did I ever buy any such. When we bought corn, the grains were always as small as they are now. But you might ask my father. He may have heard where such grain grew." So the king sent for the old man's father, and he was found and brought before the king. He came walking with 1 crutch. The king showed him the grain, and the old peasant, who was still able to see, took a good look at it. And the king asked him, "Can you not tell us, old man, where corn like this used to grow? Have you ever bought any like it or sown any in your fields?" Though the old man was rather hard of hearing, he still heard better than his son had done. "No," he said, "I never sowed nor reaped any grain like this in my field. As to buying, I never bought any, for in my time money was not yet in use. Everyone grew his own corn, and when there was any need, we shared with one another. I do not know where corn like this grew. Ours was larger and yielded more flour than present-day grain, but I never saw any like this. I have, however, heard my father say that in his time the grain grew larger and yielded more flour than ours. You had better ask him." So the king sent for this old man's father, and they found him too, and brought him before the king. He entered walking easily and without crutches. His eye was clear, his hearing good, and he spoke distinctly. The king showed him the grain, and the old grandfather looked at it and turned it about in his head. "It is long since I saw such a fine grain," said he, and he bit a piece off and tasted it. "It's the very same kind," he added. "Tell me, grandfather," said the king, "when and where was such corn grown? Have you ever bought any like it or sown any in your fields?" And the old man replied, "Corn like this used to grow everywhere in my time. I lived on corn like this in my young days, and fed others on it. It was grain like this that we used to sow and reap and thrash." And the king asked, "Tell me, grandfather, did you buy it anywhere, or did you grow it yourself?" The old man smiled. "In my time," he answered, "no one ever thought of such a sin as buying or selling bread, and we knew nothing of money. Each man had corn enough of his own." "Then tell me, grandfather," asked the king, "where was your field? Where did you grow corn like this?" And the grandfather answered, "My field was God's earth. Wherever I plowed, there was my field. Land was free. It was a thing no man called his own. Labor was the only thing men called their own." "Answer me 2 more questions," said the king. "The first is, why did the earth bear such grain then, and has ceased to do so now? And the second is, why your grandson walks with 2 crutches, your son with 1, and you yourself with none? Your eyes are bright, your teeth sound, and your speech clear and pleasant to the ear. How have these things come about?" And the old man answered, "These things are so because men have ceased to live by their own labor and have taken to depending on the labor of others. In the old time, men lived according to God's law. They had what was their own and coveted not what others had produced."
Now, let us look the novel using the critical eyes of a formalist critic and answer the following questions. Number 1. What recurring patterns, repeated or related words, images, and etc. can you find? What is the effect of these patterns or motifs? Second question. How does repetition reinforce the theme? Third question. What literary devices are used in the story? Let us first get the gist by looking at the story's important events. For the exposition, one day, some children found in a ravine a thing shaped like a grain of corn with a groove down the middle, but as large as a hen's egg. Rising action. The king gets the corn. The king then asks his wise men around. For the climax, finally, they call the grandfather of the first old peasant who had no crutches, can see clearly and speak clearly, unlike the first 2 oldies who were cold. The king didn't expect the answers he would get. And for the following action, the old man answered to the king's question. These things are so because men have ceased to live by their own labor and have taken on depending on the labor of others. In the old time, men lived according to God's law. They had what was their own and coveted not what others had produced. Now, let us answer the first question. What recurring patterns or repeated or related words, images, etc. can you find? What is the effect of these patterns or motifs? What has been repeated thrice in the story is the question of the king. The question is, can you tell us, old man, where such grain as this grew? Have you ever bought this corn or sown such in your fields? The effect of repetition is to clearly point out the concept of degeneration. Shockingly, the first peasant, who was the younger, was more fragile as depicted in the description. Old and bent, ashy pale, and toothless. He just managed with the help of the 2 crutches to totter into the king's presence. The second peasant, who is the father of the first peasant, is a way better in terms of physical well-being as described in this line. The peasant's father was different from his son. He walked with 1 crutch and he hears and see better compared to his son. He was still able to see and hear better compared to his son did. The third peasant, as the grandfather of the first peasant, is the healthiest as described in this line. He entered walking easily without crutches. His eye was clear, his hearing good, and he spoke distinctly.
Now, let us proceed with the second question. How does the repetition reinforce the theme? The theme is reinforced by the use of repetition since it emphasizes the theme, which is degeneration, and it also discusses what caused it. This is also the entire moral of the story. The theme of the story has something to do with contentment. We were told that according to the earlier times, people lived according to God's law. They labored for what they ate and coveted not what others had produced. Hence, they yielded good quality produce, ate what was their own, and lived healthier lives. However, with the passage of time, money was introduced. People started depending on others and started to become greedy. This resulted to poor quality of produce and their health deteriorated. A grain as big as a hen's egg talks about coveting, sin, and money. A grain as big as a hen's egg makes a point by saying that men and women have degenerated into quite arrogant and lazy society, which eventually has sadly become the norm. Now, let us proceed with answering the third question. What literary devices are used in the story? Some literary devices used in the story is symbolism, such that the questions of the king symbolizes power. The story also uses satire and surprise ending. The king did not actually expect the answer of the third peasant, which was the oldest, yet of good physical shape. It is seen when he replied, "These things are so because men have ceased to live according to their own labor, and have taken to depending on the labors of others. In the old time, men lived according to God's law. They had what was their own and coveted not what others had produced." Alright, so that is how you explicate a literary piece based on the formalist approach. Remember to look into the story itself by checking its elements, literary devices, and figures of speech.
Now that you have already the knowledge on how to critique a literary piece using the formalist approach, it is now your time to get your activity sheet in English and read the directions.
Directions. Read the story of Kish by Jack London on page 299 to 305 on your English textbook and critique it using the formalist approach.
Dear learners, we hope that you learned something from the literary piece we critiqued a while ago using the formalist approach. Keep the lesson you learned from the story of Tolstoy, A Grain as Big as a Hen's Egg, which tells us to value hard work and contentment.
Exactly, we should not take credit for something that we did not work for. Congratulations for finishing this lesson, grade 10 learners. Always remember that the knowledge you get in English helps you become a global citizen capable of conquering the world. This has been Ma'am Mahalia
And Ma'am Pinky,
your English teacher, saying continue to love, care, and share. Still here in your one and only educational TV program,
Ang Tangku.
Goodbye!
Bye!
Hello, grade 10 learners! Welcome to another learning episode of Ang Tangkub TV-based instruction. I am Teacher James, your teacher in TLE Housekeeping 10. For today's lesson, we will identify the different cleaning tools used in housekeeping. Cleaning tools used in housekeeping. Dusters. Materials for dusters are made of soft cotton, flannel, or artificial feathers. Dusters are used for removing dust and for wiping various surfaces. Dustpans, used to collect dust and dirt with the help of a broom. Mops, useful tools in wiping dirt and dust from the floor. Mops comes in various sizes for specific purposes. Brooms. Brooms are used in sweeping dirt and dust from the floor and other areas that need cleaning. It may be made from man-made materials like plastic or from natural materials like the soft broom or walis tambo made from tiger grass and the stick broom or walis tingting made from spine of dried coconut leaves. Brushes. Brushes are designed with different sizes and shapes for specific cleaning purposes. After use, brushes should be washed with soap and dried in the sun to last longer. Types of brush. Toilet brush is used for cleaning bidets and toilet bowl. Sink brush is used for unclogging sinks. Scrub brush is used for cleaning sturdy dirt from floors and walls. Carpet hand brush is an alternative for vacuum in cleaning the carpet. Cane brush is a soft nylon brush used to prevent damage to cane surfaces. Soft hand brush goes with a dustpan and is used to collect dust. Wall brush is a soft brush with long handles to clean hard-to-reach walls. Feather brush is used to clean delicate surfaces like lampshades, televisions, and etc. Bucket or pail, used for holding water or detergent while cleaning. Garbage bins are available in plastic with lid to hold gathered garbage and trash while cleaning. Caddy basket, used to hold small tools and chemicals while cleaning. Squeegee, used to gather water while cleaning window glasses. There you have it, learners. Those are the different cleaning tools used in housekeeping. At this point, let us try to check your understanding from today's lesson. Please get your activity sheet in TLE Housekeeping 10 and answer the given questions. Before we end, always remember that according to Brian Herbert, the capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. This has been Teacher James saying continue learning and hashtag Shine Tangub Stars.
We hope that you have learned the most essential lessons you need to master. See you on our next episodes. This has been Ang Tangkub.
It's tangkub, tangkub, tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo na. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop, tangkop, tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya.
Good afternoon to all our junior high school learners who are watching via FB Live at Dapat Tayo Tanggub and Astral Academy. Welcome to Astral Academy Cyber School. I am Mama Halia from Santa Maria National High School.
And still, I am your Ma'am Pinky Del Castillo of Sumirap National High School.
And we are your teacher facilitators
this
today.
afternoon, rather. Okay, today, learners, or their viewers, is March 31, 2022, Thursday. And since it's Thursday, today is English Day. So we will discuss our first lesson when we return. This is Astral Academy Cyber School.
And we are back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School. And now, dear learners, flashed on top of your screen is our first attendance marker.
Yes, our first attendance marker. Take note of that, learners. And now, we are now on our first lesson. And hello there, our grade 7 learners, Mamahalia. I know that you are, or we know that you are very excited for our lesson this afternoon. So what is our competency for this afternoon? I think it can be seen above our slide. Yes, that's it. What is that, our competency, Mamahalia?
Okay, our competency for English 7 is actually to raise sensible, challenging, thought-provoking questions in public forums and panel discussions. So, specifically, dear learners, you should be able to define what panel discussion is and identify its members.
That's right, because you cannot raise sensible, challenging, thought-provoking questions without being able to define what is panel discussion and identify the members and its procedures.
Yes, that's correct. And also, you should be able to familiarize the procedures in a panel discussion.
Yes, I can't agree with you more, Mamahalia. Today, again, we will learn how to raise sensible, challenging, thought-provoking questions. And one way of enhancing this skill is through participating in a group discussion like panel discussion. This lesson would help you how to do it. But first, let us discuss one of the group discussions, which is panel discussion. For that reason, let us define first what panel discussion is, its members, and the procedures involved.
Okay, that's right. So we hope, learners, that this topic is no longer new to you since before the pandemic happened. So you might have heard or had the chance to conduct a panel discussion as part of your group activity in various subjects. And moreover, participating in a panel discussion requires our critical listening skill in order for you to understand the things being discussed and be able, of course, to participate productively.
That's right, Mamahalia. Listening attentively to a group discussion is very important, learners. Now that you are growing, much of your time is spent in some form of a group, whether a class, a friendship, a peer group, a family, or any organization. You need to include yourself on the topic that they are discussing, of course. You may ask sensible questions to make the discussion more meaningful. Asking sensible questions, learners, in any group discussion is encouraged so that there will be a lively discussion. So, listen carefully, learners, because you are expected to define what is panel discussion and its members and familiarize the procedures involved.
Okay, so exactly. So in your self-learning material, you are tasked to actually define the meaning of panel discussion, identify its members, and familiarize the procedures involved. So this time, let us define what is panel discussion. So a panel discussion is a small group discussion consists of 4 to 5 well-informed, take note of the term,
Yes.
well-informed persons who sit at the table on a platform or stage before the group. A panel discussion in the classroom is a technique to teach students to work, to teach you or dear students to work as a group or collaboratively. It is also designed to improve skills in researching, logical organization of ideas, as well as your ability to present these thoughts that you have clearly and more effectively.
That's right. So thank you for that, Mama Halia. There are persons involved in a panel discussion. So we will know them again one by one. These are the members in a panel discussion with their respective roles. So the first one, learners, the moderator, of course. So who is the moderator? He or she is the leader who tries to make the flow of the proceedings or actions function as smoothly as possible. And he or she addresses the audience, announces the topic, and introduces the panel members. He or she also interprets statements made by the audience and resolves possible conflicts among or between the panel members and the audience.
All right, that's right. So we also have the panel members. So the panel members are the discussants, or could be the guest for the given topic, and they answer the question raised by the moderator.
Okay, so the third one is the audience. They are the viewers or the listeners. They may also raise questions to the panel members.
Okay, so now Ma'am Pinky, to refresh their idea on
how to conduct a panel discussion in a classroom.
They need to follow procedures, of course, that have been used effectively.
That's right.
So the leader or moderator introduces the topic, and the panelists present their views and opinions regarding the issue. So it is expected that sometimes when we express our opinions, we have differing or varying opinions.
That's right. You are right, Mama Halia. And the second one, the panelists discuss the issue or topic and also react to other panel members' views and opinions. A specific amount of time should be set.
Okay, that's correct. So the leader, in turn, or the moderator, closes the discussion and provides a summary of the panel presentation and discussion.
Yes, and lastly, the leader or moderator calls for forum to all members of the class to address some questions, views, and opinions to the panelists, to give time to all the viewers to really express their
opinions. And of course, accordingly, in our debating, like orientation, for example, we have different platforms on how to present, but it is very much important that we need to have respect, of course.
Yes.
Even if we have different opinions on a specific topic, it is very much important to express your thoughts in an organized, not just organized, you need to have
a friendly manner.
Yes,
manner
in discussions.
So, at this point, Mama Halia and our dear learners, let us take a look at these examples. Identify who is being referred to in the sentence and or on the following sentences. So this is what they are going to do with their self-learning material.
So this is not exactly what
the question
task,
or the statement.
Most likely quite the same. All right, so he or she makes the flows of the proceeding.
Of course.
So what's your answer?
Okay.
What's your answer, learner?
It's the
Okay,
moderator.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
It's the letter C or moderator. Okay, for number 2 or letter B, they answer the questions raised by the moderator.
Okay, the correct answer, of course, the panel members.
That's
so the panel
right.
members are the ones who need to, of course, discuss their stand and why they believe in such manner.
Okay, so in their SLM, they have 2 activities actually, Mamahalia. So for your activity 2, so you have to arrange the procedure in orderly manner and label the procedures from 1 to 4. Example, Mamahalia, we have this one. First, the leader or moderator calls for forum. Second, the leader or moderator provides a summary of panel presentation and discussion. Third, the panelists react to other panel members' views and opinions. And the fourth one, the panelists present their views and opinions regarding the issues. So what's the answer?
So let us try to analyze, Ma'am Pinky,
Yes.
how do we organize this thing? So if you can notice, dear learners, number 4, you were told that the panelists present their views and opinions, okay, on or regarding an issue. So that could be your first one. So it is, they present.
Yes.
Next is the third one after presenting is that there would be reactions, of course. If there are presentations, there would be reactions. So
Yes.
3 would be the next to 4. So the panelists react to the panel members' views and opinions, and provide a summary of the panel presentation and the discussions later.
Now that you are already guided learners on how to accomplish your tasks, it is now your time to answer your activity.
Yes, activity number 1, the directions would be to read the following questions or the questions given on your SLM and encircle the letter of the correct answer.
Yes.
And for activity number 2, that is, there are following procedures of the panel discussion and you just need to arrange them because they are actually at random.
That's right.
So arrange the procedure in an orderly manner and label the procedures from 1 to 4.
Okay, good luck, learners.
Stay tuned because we will be right back still here at Astral Academy Cyber School.
It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine. Masaya, tutok na. Tayo, tayo.
And we are back, learners, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Alright, so hello there to all our
Hello, hello.
English 8 learners. So your competency for this afternoon is actually to use parallel structures.
That's right. So when we say parallel, it is also called parallelism.
Yes.
It is the repetition of a chosen grammatical form within a sentence. By making each compared item or idea in your sentence follow the same grammatical pattern, you can create a parallel construction.
So learners, this is important not just in writing but also in speaking.
That's right.
So our discussion, for example, we have this sentence. This class discussion was engaging, informative, and should have been longer. So do you think this sentence follow a parallel structure? What do you think, Ma'am Pinks?
I think, Mama Halia and our learners, this sentence does not follow a parallel structure.
Yes,
and
that's
we will
correct.
explain to them the reason behind that.
Okay, that's correct. So the phrase to change in here, let us identify what could be the phrase or the word, for example, that should be changed in order to achieve parallel structure. Is it the word engaging,
Yes.
informative, or should have been longer?
So what do you think, learners?
The correct answer is?
Is, of course, the phrase should have been longer.
That's correct. So which among the following choices you're given actually on their SLM?
Yes.
They're actually given some choices to choose from, of course, which would best serve or replace the phrase identified in order to achieve parallel structure. Is it A, longer? Is it B, interesting? Is it C, of length? Or D, brief?
Okay.
Okay. So the correct answer is?
Of course, the correct answer is letter B. Why?
Okay, so
This is the word interesting. Why? It's because the words engaging and informative are all adjectives.
Adjectives,
So
that's
we
correct.
have to have this parallel structure. If we use the adjective form of the word, the first word and the second word, to achieve parallelism, we will also use adjective to our
yes,
third
all
word.
throughout
Yes.
our description. So we use adjectives, so all adjectives all throughout. So our sentence would then be, our class discussion was engaging, informative, and interesting. Why did we say that it should be it is interesting? Because the phrase should have been longer connotes, or that means that, of course, the students actually, or whoever the speaker is, they actually understand or they like the discussion. So it is interesting.
Okay, so learners is a additional idea for you to be able to identify in what cases or in what do you call this situation you have to consider parallelism. Of course, one of the things that they have to bear in mind is you look for conjunctions like and.
Yes,
So if we
that's
are going to connect one, for example, one adjective and other adjective, meaning they are
Of
in
equal
equal importance. So
importance,
they
that's
have to
correct.
achieve parallelism.
Or you could, because they're already previous words, for example, you need to identify if the first word is an adjective, the second is an adjective. So that means the third one, if it's not an adjective, that does not make a parallel structure. You need to change it to an adjective as well to suit to what we call parallel construction.
That's right. And remember, learners, that we will not only limit parallelism in using adjectives.
Yes.
Also, we can use that, we can apply that in using some other
Infinitives, for
words,
example,
yes.
participles,
Future
and
one
many
and
others.
others.
So if you are actually using clauses, for example, so dependent clauses, it should be like that all throughout. So if your phrase, for example, starts with a preposition, so you have prepositional phrases all throughout, then use it consistently. So
That's
the
right.
technique is to be consistent.
That's
So-
right. So in life, we need to be consistent also, Mamahalia.
Yes,
We
that's
need to be
correct.
consistent with our decisions, with our thoughts, so
Yes.
that others would also rely from
Yes.
us.
We
Okay.
become reliable if there is consistency
That's
in our
right.
actions. So,
Okay.
activity number 1, dear learners, get your SLM. It's there. So the directions would be to complete the exercises using parallel structure. So in the 4 sentences below, for instance, or in yes, circle the correct word and phrases that gives the sentence the correct parallel structure. For example, you have there, Justin was excited about inviting friends over, eating a good meal, and, all right, is it A, game of cards? Is it B, to play cards?
Yes.
Or C, playing a game of cards? So if you notice, you have there the phrases inviting friends, eating a good meal. So they are all in ing form.
Yes.
So which one is the correct answer?
What do you think,
Certainly,
learners?
it is
Letter C, because we are all using, I think, gerunds.
Yes,
We are
phrases,
using
gerund
gerund
phrases.
phrases.
Okay.
Okay. So for letter B, is this activity 2, Mamahalia? I think
Yes,
this
it
is for your activity
Or
2.
activity B.
Activity B in your
Alright.
SLM. In the
Yes.
sentences below or on your SLM, write a word or phrase in the blank that gives the sentence parallel structure. For example, the girl liked eating cookies better than blank at her grandmother's house.
Okay, so since you don't have an option for this, you need to actually add just
Yes.
anything, but make sure it is parallel with eating cookies.
And
Okay,
better
and
than.
better than.
So let's give them an example. Maybe
Okay.
better than
Better than.
eating biscuits. I think
Cookies
or
and
at eating
maybe cakes.
junk foods rather.
Alright, yes.
So the girl liked eating cookies better than eating junk foods at her grandmother's
Mother's house. Yes,
you can use
could
that
be.
one.
All right. Okay.
Okay, good luck,
So,
learners.
Yes.
So, Mamahalia and learners.
Stay tuned because we will be right back after a very short break. This is still Astral Academy Cyber School.
This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. Come and learn to speak and write of the language of the world. Learn to understand the language of the world. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. This is the way we write. This is the English way.
and we are back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Okay, hello to our grade 9 learners, Mamahalia. Please take note also, our learners are second or third attendance marker for this afternoon.
Yes, it's on top of your screen.
That's
Please
right.
copy that one. All right, so hello to our grade 9 learners. Thank you for being with us again. So today we are going to learn how to extract information from argumentative text.
That's right. So, Mamahalia, there are many different types of texts that
Yes.
provide important information to the readers. Such information or details from a text provides more opportunities for us to learn faster and better. Critical listening or reading is used with argumentative text. It allows us to read more critically to get the logic or reasoning in a text.
Okay, that's right, Mom Pinky. So let us listen carefully, learners, because on your SLM, you are actually asked or tasked to read a text and extract important information from it. So to help you in accomplishing your task, let us define what an argumentative text is.
That's right. So since there are many types of text, let us define what is an argumentative text. It is a form of nonfiction, meaning nonfiction is not from the author, coming from the
Alright,
author's...
non-fiction, that means it is real,
Yes,
not imaginary,
that's
not
right.
fiction.
Not coming from the author's imagination.
Imagination.
This is a nonfiction form of writing that aims to convince the reader or for a certain point of view. So meaning the writer here is using convincing words for us to believe on what she is or he is writing.
Okay. All right. So here, okay, this time let us read and extract some information from the given selection. So this is our selection. Why students should eat breakfast every day.
Okay, this is applicable for our learners because some of them or some of you are skipping breakfast, right?
Yes, that's correct. So this could be a topic for nutrition, food epistemology, and yes.
Okay.
So let us read. So a lot of people, especially young people, go through the day. So they go through the day without having breakfast. So many people believe that it is not necessary, or they say that they don't have time for that and begin their day with no meal. So I believe that everyone should eat breakfast before going to their activities. So the purpose of this paper is to show the importance of breakfast, especially for students. So the first reason why you should eat breakfast before going to school is for your health. When you skip breakfast and go to school, you are looking for disease because it's not healthy to have an empty stomach all day long. It's very important to have a meal and not let your stomach work empty. All you are going to get is gastritis and a lot of problems with your health if you don't eat breakfast.
Yes, another reason for eating breakfast is because you need food for you to do well in classes. Your body and your brain are not going to function as good as they could because you have no energy and no strength. When you try to learn something and have nothing in your stomach, you are going to have a lot of trouble succeeding. A lot of people think that they should not eat breakfast because they are going to feel tired. But that's not true. Breakfast is not a very big meal, and on the contrary, you are going to feel tired if you don't have breakfast because you have spent the entire previous night without food.
Alright, so the last reason to have breakfast every day is because you can avoid diseases. If you eat some breakfast in the morning, if you don't eat, you are going to get sick.
That's right.
And these diseases will have a stronger effect on you because you're going to get sick easier than people who have breakfast every day. So you have to realize that breakfast is the most important meal of the day and you cannot skip it without consequences to your health. At your school and your defense mechanism, it is better to wake up earlier and have a good breakfast than to run to school without eating anything it is time for you to do something for your health, and eating breakfast is the best way to start your day.
Okay, so before we proceed with our question and answer portion, Mamahalia,
Yes.
let us first explain to our dear learners why this text is an example of argumentative text. So,
if we go back to our definition a while ago, an argumentative text would have a specific claim. So, in here, it has a claim that breakfast is good for us and we don't need to skip it.
That's
and
right.
also, the author was able to lay out 3 reasons for us to believe, 3 claims for us to, evidences for us to believe the claim
That's
pointed
right.
on the first paragraph. And lastly, also, in the concluding part or in the conclusion, there is a call to action.
Yes.
So that it is now time that you bring something for your health.
that's right, and there is also another reason, Mamahalia. The given evidences are not only simple evidences, but they are based from facts. They are proven and factual. So when you give evidences and if you are going to write something like an argumentative text or essay, when you give evidences or reasons, you have to base that on with facts.
Okay.
Yes.
So there are some observable facts, but of course, we also need to look into what authors or what science is pointing at.
Okay.
Alright, so this time, let us complete the sentences with the information we extract from the text. So the main idea of the essay, what could be the main idea of the essay?
Okay, so if you can see on your screen,
Yes.
learners, there are 4 options, but we will reveal the correct answer for you. So the correct answer is
Letter.
letter A.
Yes,
The main idea is
of eating breakfast, especially for students
Yes.
like you.
okay. And for number 2, the main idea of the essay is found in what paragraph? If we are going back, we are going to read more, or we are going to flashback the text, we can find that.
Actually, the thesis statement
There.
is normally at the beginning part, so it should be
Yes.
in the introduction. So the correct answer for that question is
Of
letter
course.
C. It's on the
Introduction. That's right. And for the third item, Mamahalia, the following are importance of eating breakfast for students, except. So, be careful of this word, learners. The word except meaning asa may walay, labot
Yes,
ani.
that's correct. Usually, this is bold and capitalized on
Yes.
your SLMs.
Okay,
Alright,
so
so
The
correct
answer,
answer is letter
C, to minimize
Alright.
carbohydrates in one's diet. Although it is true, Mamahalia, that we need to minimize carbohydrates in our diet, but it is not mentioned in the texts.
Yes, that's
Yes.
correct. So it is now your turn, learners, for for you to get your activity sheets in English, and of course read the directions. The directions would be to read and extract information from the given selection through choosing the word or group of words that best complete each sentence.
That's right.
So encircle the letter of the correct answer.
Just like we had in our example.
Alright.
And for
your
our
activity number 2 is to complete the following outline and details of the essay. Each corrected line is equivalent to 5 points for a total of
40
40
points.
points.
You can do it, learners.
yes. So stay tuned because we will be right back still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
Tayo, tayo na. Buksan ang mga radyo, lina at matuto sa mga aral sa mundo. Tayo, tayo na. Tumutok na sa TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fine, masaya. Tutok na. supporting one another. We love, we care, we share. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very fun. Masaya. Tangkop time. It's tangkop time. We learn all things, it's very.
And we are back, still here in Astral Academy Cyber School.
All right, so hello there to all our
Hello.
grade 10 learners. Your competency is actually to critique a literary selection based on the archetypal approach.
Yes.
Okay, so let us have some recap of what archetypal literary criticism is. It is actually a theory that interprets a text by focusing on the recurring myths and archetypes in the narrative and symbols, images, and character types in a literary work.
Okay, so by the way, Mama Halia, I observed that from the first week, previous weeks that we have in English 10, the skill that our grade 10 learners were
Have
focusing
been
is
learning
how to
Critique.
critique. So, but in a different way. This time in
Yes.
archetypal approach.
So what is an archetype, Ma'am Pink?
Okay, an archetype means it is an original form. It refers to the universal symbols, theme, characters, and images we find repeated throughout literature.
Yes, that's correct. So there are actually some archetype categories. So for example, you have what we call the archetypal conflict. Young versus old,
Yes.
strong versus weak, the rich versus the poor, dreams versus reality.
Anywhere, anytime. This is applicable
Yes,
worldwide.
Yes, even if the text is produced in Asia, for example, or in Latin America, still these archetypes, these categories are universal.
That's right.
Okay,
Even
next.
on our own locality, we
Yes,
can
that's
observe
correct.
this.
Next archetype, Ma'am Pinks,
Is the archetypal character. So, example, the innocent, the youth, bully, the devil, dreamer, the scapegoat, the outcast, magician, shrew or the nagger. Is this one?
the nag.
The nag, the warrior, or the dragon slayer. We love
So,
these stories.
Yes,
having
that's
these
correct.
characters.
So these are specific character archetypes. We also have archetypal situations. So what are examples of archetypal situations? The coming of age, for example, being tempted.
Yes.
Okay, that's why there are a lot of, if you notice, there are a lot of stories or teleseries
That the characters-
yes, the characters were tempted.
That's right. And there are many temptations
Yes,
surrounds
lurking
us.
around. Okay, so also another archetypal situation would be the making of a sacrifice.
I love that.
Yes.
And
I remember the song we listened a while ago, the Mapa.
Oh,
the sacrifice
yes.
of a mom and a dad.
and the appreciation
Yes.
of the
Of the
child
yes,
to
that's
the hard
correct.
work of their
parents. Falling from a higher position.
Yes.
So this is also a specific archetypal situation. Dying, being
Reborn.
So yeah, because in some literature they believe in rebirth,
That's right.
reincarnation.
Okay.
Okay. So loss of innocence. Okay, so this is also an
Some of the
archetypal
archetypal situations
situation.
and many others.
Yes.
We also have the archetypal myths. Example,